We are live, so welcome everybody to the Thursday, September 8th Webster Town Board meeting. We will start off with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Deneen, can you do roll, please?
Supervisor Flaherty.
Here.
Councilwoman Cataldi.
Present.
Councilman Cahill.
Here.
Councilwoman Nguyen.
Here.
Councilwoman Wright.
Here.
Attorney for the town Taylor.
Here. All right, our first item tonight is my favorite, the open to the floor, where each speaker will be allowed up to 5 minutes to speak on anything their heart desires. I think we have two people that have signed in tonight, so Christopher Naka, were you planning on speaking? Yeah. Okay, and as Christopher walks up there, I'm going to rattle off what many people have heard me say. Here's kind of the rules of engagement. Please don't make me have to say at 4 minutes and 50 seconds, you're at 4 minutes and 50 seconds. It never comes off good. People in the crowd, respect the person who is at the podium, even if you don't agree with what they're saying. Let's have some decorum on that. What is the one that I'm missing? Why do I always miss the third one?
Be nice.
No questions answered.
Yes,
addressing
you
the
can
board.
rattle off one question, 100 questions up there. That does not mean the town board is going to spend the time after you're done answering them. We certainly will set you up with the right people offline in the future days to answer them. Those are the rules. Christopher, you're up.
Christopher Naka, 1065 Shoecraft Road. Basically, just the same stuff that I'm coming in talking about. This town really needs a 24-hour grocery store. Not everybody works A or B shift. C shift people that also make up a majority, a percentage of this town need somewhere to shop and eat that isn't fast food. Any and all businesses in the town should pay you enough to live inside the town. Talking about the containers, it makes me think, yeah, it would be very nice to have those containers down there, but if it works, are the people that are working there going to be paid enough to live in this town? And if it doesn't work, then the people that work there, I mean, they've taken the time to put in hours there, and then they could just, if it doesn't work, on to the next job. Some job security would be nice. Last time we had talked about Bay Road. Last winter, I know at least one person was hit walking down there. I think that kind of speaks to my ongoing point that the people that live in this town need to make enough where they can drive into work just like their coworkers and bosses do. They need to be able to pay their rent and have enough to save a little bit at the end of the week and not be walking on roads that aren't meant to be walked on in the wintertime. I remember I've lived in this town basically my whole life, and every winter you'd see the one guy riding his bike down the road and you think, God, what a maniac riding his bike to wherever he's riding to. And over the years you see more and more of these bikes and more of these people that are riding on roads not meant for that type of traffic in the winter, and it's unsafe and it's unfair. And I think that these people should be respected because after midnight they become quite important. Talking about the fast food workers now. Yeah, that was basically me blending what I normally talk about with what, and yeah, I mean, if we're going to be saving that much money doing the container idea, I think that money saved should go into the employees that work there, not just the people that are paying for the license to vend there, and you guys, well, air quotes, the town. I think everybody should benefit from any business that's in Webster. Thank you.
Thanks, Christopher. And next up tonight is Kevin Lockhart.
Hi everyone, Kevin Lockhart from 100-2 Kettleberger Park. I wanted to oppose the resolutions that this town is considering. I don't think that the projects, the planning department needs to have more power centralized to it, or the ability to cite people to go to court unless for good reason. I don't like that. The town board is decentralizing its powers and giving it to the planning and the public works. And I couldn't even tell you who the two public works department heads are, so I'm not even sure how they would come to a consensus and administrate a C of O together. But I don't like the idea of that. Also, the Rocks Box issue, I just didn't hear anything about why it was prompted to begin with, like how the process was necessary to begin with, or where the money was coming from, or how much the service would cost to the vendors to have to lease it month by month. So that's something that is like very primary, I think, to that whole question of how much is it going to cost the vendors to sign up and how long is the lease for. Somebody mentioned maybe like July through September or something like that. I wanted to recognize a couple of wins that we had. First was we managed to pass the town's comprehensive plan steering committee, although I very, very strongly disagreed with how it was selected. But I definitely appreciate the town for passing that motion to at least legalize the process. Although, again, I'm very miffed that the town allowed the New York State to hijack the whole zoning and land use laws. Another big win that we had for the people was the overturning of the cell phone tower. That was very exciting, and I know everyone's really excited about that. Hopefully, it won't be turned back over on appeal. And I spoke with Tom Flaherty, was very helpful today, with Captain, who was it? Captain
Mark Reed.
Yeah, Captain Mark Reed, because the town supervisor has great communication, and I'm always surprised when I hear the voicemail that I leave coming back at myself. So we are going to do a more frequent police blotter every week so that everyone in town can keep up with the public safety issues, which is very important, of course. And what was the other thing? I think that's about it. Wait, let's see. I still have a minute. Sorry, pause for a second. I heard a lot of talk about the Navitas project. I didn't look into it as much as I wanted to at this point. But when we discussed the Navitas project as being one of the more costly projects, I think that's sewer maybe, but I don't hear a lot of discussion about the actual details of why we're doing it and why it's necessary, which kind of goes back to the Rocks Box issue of whether it's even necessary or a good idea. I know you want to turn you're kind of reminiscing on the days of the Bayside restaurant, and people kind of want that back, but I'm just not sure if the Rocks Box thing is going to be realistic, if it's not just going to be really expensive, because this town loves to spend money. And let's see, how are we at here? Yeah, you guys really, I think, worked against the will of the people in creating the steering committee. I'm constantly offended by the things that I hear coming from this town and the town board. I don't know how to act, so that's kind of difficult. I don't know how people would contact you if they wanted to. Also, it looks like the town, I gotta wonder whether the town and the village are colluding with one another. Everyone has a different opinion, but it does sound like there's a little bit of collusion going on that we gotta watch out for between the village and the town, particularly as it relates to the town comprehensive plan and Xerox, and somehow those two correlating with one another. But I was really disappointed to see that you guys very arbitrarily and capriciously denied Jenny a seat on the town comprehensive plan committee. No reason, no explanation. Could have let her on it, but I don't know, maybe Melissa Keller said no, or who knows, maybe Tom said no. Who knows? Who knows how you created the town comprehensive plan steering committee, which is the most important steering committee that our town has. And
Kevin, I don't want to be called a buffoon by you, but
it's still a mystery.
5 minutes and 10 seconds right now.
Oh, no warning at 4:30?
We're at 5 minutes and 15 seconds now.
Okay.
All right. Thank you very much, Kevin. Okay, and nobody else came in after the fact, so that concludes the public speaking portion, which leads us to the next item, which is the town board meeting minutes to be considered for approval. We did not have a workshop 2 weeks ago, correct? So we just had the regular town board meeting on September 4th. I've reviewed the minutes. I make a motion that we approve them.
Second.
Supervisor Flaherty,
Aye.
Councilman Cahill,
Aye.
Councilwoman Cataldi,
Aye.
Councilwoman Nguyen,
Aye.
Councilwoman Wright. Aye.
Patty?
Yes, I reviewed the bills as submitted by the Director of Finance yesterday, and everything appears to be in order. I would move that we pay the bills.
Second.
Councilwoman Cataldi,
Aye.
Councilwoman Wright,
Aye.
Supervisor Flaherty,
Aye.
Councilman Cahill,
Aye.
Councilwoman Nguyen.
Aye.
And I did review the prepaid warrants as submitted by Paul Adams, the Director of Finance, and make a motion that we approve those.
Second.
Supervisor Flaherty,
Aye.
Councilwoman Nguyen,
Aye.
Councilwoman Cataldi,
Aye.
Councilman Cahill,
Aye.
Councilwoman Wright. Aye.
And I did review the purchase orders as submitted by Paul Adams, the Director of Finance, and make a motion that we approve those.
Second.
Supervisor Flaherty,
Aye.
Councilwoman Cataldi,
Aye.
Councilman Cahill,
Aye.
Councilwoman Nguyen,
Aye.
Councilwoman Wright. Aye.
On 4 and 5, the amendments to the budget that were presented by Paul Adams, Director of Finance, and the transfers in the budget, did the board members have any questions on what was submitted to them by Paul?
I don't.
No.
I do not.
Okay. I'm going to make a motion to approve the budget amendments as presented by Paul Adams, the Director of Finance.
Second.
Supervisor Flaherty,
Aye.
Councilman Cahill,
Aye.
Councilwoman Cataldi,
Aye.
Councilwoman Nguyen,
Aye.
Councilwoman Wright. Aye.
And I'm going to make a motion to approve the budget transfers as presented by Paul Adams, the Director of Finance.
Second.
Supervisor Flaherty,
Aye.
Councilman Cahill,
Aye.
Councilwoman Cataldi,
Aye.
Councilwoman Nguyen,
Aye.
Councilwoman Wright. Aye.
Next up, believe it or not, I think on Thursday, October 2nd is the first day that the October Webster Today magazine will hit mailboxes. And it is it's our budget issue. But legally, even though all the homes in Webster get it, that doesn't cut it for the law, municipal law. You have to publish the proposed budget in the legal newspaper that the town picked, which is the Webster Herald. So with that in mind, I am going to make a motion to set a public hearing for the town of Webster's 2026 preliminary budget for Thursday, October 16th, 2025 at 7:30 PM in this town boardroom, and it will be advertised in both the October 1st and October 8th Webster Herald editions.
Second.
Supervisor Flaherty,
Aye?
Councilwoman Wright. Aye. Councilwoman Cataldi,
Aye.
Councilman Cahill,
Aye.
Councilwoman Nguyen.
Aye.
I think the village did this same exact resolution last week.
That's correct, Supervisor. The
Okay.
village passed this resolution, and the town board here is entertaining the same resolution.
And this is, I think, going to be, well, certainly during my time as supervisor, this will be the first time that the village board of trustees and the town board members will have a joint public hearing. I don't recall it during the 6 years that I've been supervisor. Maybe it's happened. But I'm going to make the motion to set a joint public hearing with the Village of Webster Board of Trustees and the Town Board of Webster members on Tuesday, October 21st, 2025, in the village boardroom at the village offices. I think this is 7 p.m.
Correct.
7 p.m. This public hearing is to consider the annexation petition brought by Xerox Corporation of village land to the town. The notice of this public hearing will be published in the Webster Herald on their Wednesday, September 25th edition. Wednesday, September 24th edition. Sorry about that. That's my motion.
Second.
Supervisor Flaherty,
Aye.
Councilwoman Cataldi,
Aye.
Councilman Cahill,
Aye.
Councilwoman Nguyen,
Aye.
Councilwoman Wright.
Aye.
Jennifer, you want to, I know you've been working with Donna on this.
I do. So the Board of Assessment Review has a different term period than other citizen board positions. And this term is ending at the end of this month. David Payne has been on the Board of the Assessment Review and has been the chair of that board for quite some time. He is an asset to the community and that board based on his experience with the assessment process, the assessment review process, and given that we're going through the reevaluation that is really in process right now, we're in the education phase. It'll start in full swing next year, and then the letters will come out in 2027, and he will be integral to the assessment review process. So for those reasons, I move to appoint David Payne to the Board of Assessment Review for a term of 5 years, ending September 30th, 2030.
Second.
Councilwoman Wright,
Aye.
Councilman Cahill,
Aye.
Supervisor Flaherty,
Aye.
Councilwoman Cataldi,
Aye.
Councilwoman Nguyen.
Aye.
Okay, we're going to move on this agenda, Resolution 9 and Resolution 12 to the end, because these are the pickup of the workshop presentations that we ran out of time on. Now, Resolution 10 on the agenda, this was interesting because we thought that we might have done this a couple of months ago, but we had done a resolution, it was our intent to be the lead agency on the salt barn. This is actually a resolution, not intent, but we are designating the town board as the lead agent. So any questions on that?
No.
Well, I make a motion for the Webster Town Board to designate itself as the lead agency for the purpose of seeker review related to the salt barn replacement and truck wash bay.
Second.
Supervisor Flaherty,
Aye.
Councilwoman Wright,
Aye.
Councilwoman Cataldi,
Aye.
Councilman Cahill,
Aye.
Councilwoman Nguyen.
Aye.
Now, the next one, as far as the determination, does the board on the seeker significance, any questions?
Nope.
There are no, the question I have, Kyle, is do we need to read, like, is this one of the seekers where you want to read the entire
Yes, I
motion?
would read this entire motion
Yeah.
into the record here.
Okay.
So I
Jennifer, it's your department. Would you mind taking a shot at reading that whole thing?
I am getting there, and I will. Let's see, I make a motion to issue the, this is a type 1 action?
Correct.
Okay, so there is significance to this, and I make a motion to, help me with this.
Sure, I would just suggest just read the whereas as written.
Just start with the whereas?
Yes, correct.
Okay. Whereas the town of Webster Town Board, hereinafter referred to as the board, has determined the above referenced action to be a type 1 action pursuant to Part 617 of the State Environmental Quality Review Seeker Regulations. And whereas the town board has reviewed and accepted the complete full environmental assessment forms, Part 1, 2, and 3, including the supporting information on the action prepared by the MRB group hereinafter referred to as engineer. And whereas the town board has completed the coordinated review and public comment period provided under the seeker regulations, and whereas the town board has designated itself as lead agency under seeker regulations for making the determination of significance upon said action on a separate resolution at the August 21st, 2025 meeting. And whereas the town board has given consideration to the criteria for determining significance as set forth in section 617.7C1 of the seeker regulations, and the information contained in the full environmental assessment forms, part 1, 2, and 3. Now therefore be it resolved that the action will not result in any significant adverse environmental impacts based on the review of the full environmental assessment form, and that the town board does hereby make a determination of non-significance on the said action. And the town board and the town supervisor is hereby directed to sign the full environmental assessment form, EAF, Part 3, the negative declaration as evidence of the town board determination of environmental non-significance.
Second.
Well, for the second, just one clarification. The town board had declared itself as lead agency as of tonight's meeting pursuant to a separate resolution on August 21st, 2025.
Thank you.
So we'll make that September 18th.
Oh, I thought that was the initial.
The intent.
The intent part
Yes.
was that. Okay, thank you.
Second with that correction.
Councilwoman Wright,
Aye.
Councilwoman Cataldi,
Aye.
Supervisor Flaherty,
Aye.
Councilman Cahill,
Aye.
Councilwoman Wynn.
Aye.
And we can go through 13 through 16. I think it's going to be Patty, Jennifer, Patty, Tom.
I move to approve the following items for auction from the Police Department: 2008 Chevy Tahoe, 2011 Ford Crown Victoria, 2015 Taurus, and 2016 Taurus.
Second.
Councilwoman Cataldi,
Aye.
Supervisor Flaherty,
Aye.
Councilman Cahill,
Aye.
Councilwoman Wynn,
Aye.
Councilwoman Wright.
Aye. I make a motion to approve the following item for trade-in from the Parks Department. It's a plow, tag number 07745.
Second.
Councilwoman Wright,
Aye.
Councilwoman Cataldi,
Aye.
Supervisor Flaherty,
Aye.
Councilman Cahill,
Aye.
Councilwoman Wynn.
Aye. My goodness, we hang on to some of our vehicles for a long time. I would approve the following item for recycling from the Sewer Department: a 2013 Ford van, tag number 5190.
Second.
Councilwoman Cataldi,
Aye.
Supervisor Flaherty,
Aye.
Councilman Cahill,
Aye.
Councilwoman Wynn,
Aye.
Councilwoman Wright.
Aye.
And I make a motion to approve the following items for recycling from the Webster Courts: a Sony recorder tape system, a Dell Optiplex computer tower, a Dell Optiplex computer tower, and a Vizio flat screen TV with the listed tag numbers or lack thereof.
Second.
Supervisor Flaherty,
Aye.
Councilwoman Wright,
Aye.
Councilwoman Cataldi,
Aye.
Councilman Cahill,
Aye.
Councilwoman Wynn.
Aye.
All right. The second half of Josh's presentation, to be followed by a potential vote to set a public hearing on these code changes. So, Josh, thank you for being understanding on this one.
No problem. All right, moving along to vehicle storage. So the proposed changes that we're bringing before the board have to do with the parking and storage of both what we like to call junk vehicles that are not registered or not operable, as well as recreational vehicles and commercial vehicles. And then in terms of on-street parking restrictions, we do get good deal of complaints about people parking in the middle of cul-de-sacs. It presents a issue for emergency first responders, fire trucks, garbage trucks, etc. We have one instance where there's a resident who's parking a complete tractor trailer in the center of a cul-de-sac, which is hindering traffic for obviously the residents and visitors of those residents that live there. So the provision that we're proposing would deal with that. We currently have nothing that allows us to enforce for that type of issue. And then again, portable storage containers and roll-off dumpsters. The concern is that from time to time, these types of items remain on a property for a very great deal of time. And we do often get a lot of complaints from neighboring homeowners who complain of, the visual impact of these either bags being near the curb for several months or dumpsters that have debris and are there for extended long periods of time. So we're looking to tighten up the codes in relation to the amount of time and the placement on the property. So the next steps, the request here tonight is for the town board to set a resolution to hold a public hearing on these proposed changes. The proposed draft code in its entirety will be posted on the town's website so that the public has a chance to thoroughly read and review and understand prior to the proposed public hearing. And then we would look for any feedback or proposed concerns. If there weren't additional changes that would need to be made, and then we would like to move forward with making a decision on adopting them into town code. And ultimately what we're looking for is additional tools to help our staff in addressing common resident concerns and complaints that we don't currently have available to us. And I'll just leave off with, our number one goal is voluntary compliance. Again, we have a very good code enforcement officer that develops, good rapport with residents. We're willing to work with people and be very reasonable, but we do need these additional provisions to help us with those that just refuse to comply and negatively impact adjoining residents. So with that, I will be happy to answer any questions or hear any feedback that you may have.
So Josh, I just want to say, number one, I appreciate the fact that you're updating the code. Some of these areas are most certainly needed. With respect to the temporary C of Os, you mentioned that we've done one in the last 5 years approximately. So what is the impetus to update this? Is there someone or some company or some person looking for a temporary C of O currently?
No, not at this time, but as I mentioned, whenever you try and tackle code updates, it tends to get quite cumbersome. I did think that particular provision was very odd when it came up for the U of R facility. That's the facility that requested it a couple of years ago. I think there's a potential for future businesses to request it, but I'd like to just get it more in line with other towns and eliminate any potential for political pressure that could be placed upon this board.
So I like the fact that you're taking the onus off the board with respect to this temporary C of Os. I think that's a great move, and you're putting it in with the building inspector. Where does the fire marshal fall into this as far as a temporary C of O goes?
Sure. So obviously, the fire marshal is very intimately involved in not only inspections, but plan review. The way our code is structured currently and the way that it's outlined in the Department of Public Works, the fire marshal is not a department head. the building inspector is really the most qualified individual to make a determination. We did think it was important, though, to have an upper level. The building inspector is also not a department head. So the thought was having the building inspector be the primary evaluator of the request, and also having support from their superior. Now, obviously, we have no Commissioner of Public Works at this time.
Right.
So there is a provision that states that in the absence of that, it requires unanimous approval from all of the division heads that make up the Department of Public Works. So everyone has to be aligned. The highway superintendent has to be content with the grading. The engineer has to be content with the site and how, the site
Right.
work. And likewise, the fire marshal would obviously be involved in the review of any request, because in order for us to even issue that temporary C of O, all of the fire safety related items have to be operable, inspected, and in place.
Great. So it says requires financial security to the town by the applicant to ensure a timely project completion. Could you just elaborate on that a little bit?
Yes, the concept, it's similar to like a letter of credit. So if there was a catastrophic failure of some sort and they were unable to finish the project, the town would have some sort of security to go in and hire someone to finish up whatever needs to be finished to, basically button it up.
Okay.
And then that cost could then be placed on a tax bill for recouping.
So I know you had mentioned that the temporary C of Os currently are 30 days in duration, is that correct?
Yes, it requires town board approval every 30 days, so they would have to essentially submit an application every 2 weeks.
Okay. And you came up with a 6-month
Yes.
by talking to other towns?
Yes, the majority of other towns offer provisions for TCOs, and yes, the majority of them all set it at a 6-month period.
So we said,
I don't want to, can I intervene on something here? And John, these are great questions. Tonight's resolution is to set a public hearing.
that's where I was going with my
So-
question.
Go ahead then.
So we're going to set a public hearing based upon this, correct? Subsequent to the public hearing, our input and input from those speakers that choose to address any of these issues, you would be open to making one or more changes to this code. Is that correct or no?
Yeah, the
Okay.
point of the public hearing is to get feedback and, hear what
That's
the public has to say.
Perfect. Thank you.
And that's good. And I will say, one TCO, it was on a commercial project, a U of R facility. To me, most of this was driven by property maintenance, which we've been dealing with for 3 or 4 years. The TCO came up in a lot of ways because really they're on commercial projects. And we're trying to get ahead of certain things, and we're about to have what I think, it's going to be after I'm here, Xerox campus is going to be redeveloped. There's going to be 40, 50, 60-acre large industrial places coming in. Our TCO C of O process really is built around a house in a subdivision. That's just a fact.
Yep.
And so when we talked to the other towns, and they said, this really is more, a TCO is more about a large commercial or industrial project. So that just gives some flavor to that. But like I said, tonight, I certainly don't want to short anybody because there will be robust conversation. My guess is on October 2nd, after the public hearing, we won't be voting on these changes. That would be my guess. There will be feedback and whatever. Any other questions or comments before we set the public hearing on this from
I just
Jennifer,
have a
Patty, or
quick
Jen?
comment.
Sure.
In that many times, we look at code changes in a reactionary way. We realize a problem is taking place, and we go to our code book, and nothing is addressed there. And we're kind of left hanging out there in midair. So I really appreciate the efforts that your department, Josh, you and your department have done to make this more of a planned implementation of needed code changes rather than being reactionary, so thank you.
Thank you.
Ginny?
Well, as long as it's not, voting on the actual resolution itself, we're just, going for the public hearings, then.
You got it. Jennifer?
You answered my question. I was
Okay.
curious if it was commercial or residential, and it's more geared towards commercial.
Thank you, Josh. Appreciate it, being proactive rather than reactive.
Thank you.
So I'm going to make a motion to set a public hearing for Thursday, October 2nd at 7:30 PM in the Town Board Meeting Room, Webster, right here, on the proposed town code changes relating to building, construction, property maintenance, and other text amendments, to be advertised in the Wednesday, September 24th edition of the Webster Herald.
Second.
Supervisor Flaherty,
Aye?
Councilman Cahill,
Aye.
Councilwoman Cataldi,
Aye.
Councilwoman Wynn,
Aye.
Councilwoman Wright.
Aye.
And Resolution 12, I first should say that Paul, Rick, I didn't cut you off because you haven't spoken yet, but Paul, I owe you an apology.
No problem at all, Tom.
But here we are, back on the screen with the tentative timeline of how this could proceed. And I will just say, and I'll hand it back to Rick and Paul, and also to the board members for any questions before we do any resolution voting. If this resolution passes tonight to authorize this Witham, this Fried-Maxick study, when they come back in 4 to 6 weeks, which we're thinking it's November 6th here, they could come back and say, this thing is not eligible. That it's great that Navitas and Bob Wimmer came in and said you're going to get 26 million of the current project that's 85 million, and you're going to get the additional 8.8 million, whatever. But if they come back and show various things in the IRS code or Treasury and say it's not, we're done. So this is very much of a cascaded thing. Like, if that report shows it, yeah, we did our due diligence. We hired a very professional firm, a firm that was not referred by Navitas, nothing against that, but, we wanted our own firm, an independent firm in all the aspects of that. They come back here on November 6th and they say, geez, it looks like clear sailing to get this. The board will then be in a decision-making process at that time when Navitas reports of how much it will cost to engineer and design this RNG that was presented by Bob Wimmer on August 21st. So that's all I got to say.
Yeah, and then, as we were saying earlier, at some point, we'll need to schedule a public hearing for there will need to be a bond amendment. The bond amendment would increase the maximum cost of the project. It would not increase the borrowing amount, which is currently at $81,500,000. As you recall, we did get a grant, so we won't be borrowing up to that maximum amount. And there will be a number of other steps along the way, including approving the Navitas contract amendment, which I think would be the fourth amendment. One of the stipulations of the law is that the RNG project really has to be incorporated and be part of the project that we are already doing. The project we're currently in the midst of is scheduled to be complete in July of 2026. So we would need to get a start on the RNG piece prior to July of 26, so that it's all incorporated. I think that's about all I have.
I just want to bring us back even prior to, before August 21st, when we presented to you, to the board. And the questions that, maybe, why wasn't this brought up in the beginning of the project? Or why are we trying to add it on now? As stewards of the department, we have to bring anything to the board that we feel is viable and has some merit. And when this was brought to us, it's twofold why it was brought at that time. One was the tax code that we're looking into and having this resolution done. It was not available when we first started this project. The second, and if it was, we really weren't gonna be producing that much biogas to actually probably make it viable. Fast forward, Fairlife comes to town, and with their excess waste and high-strength waste that would feed our digester and create this biogas, put us in a good position to actually produce enough to see this as a very good revenue generation for us. So that's kind of why we brought that up on August 21st. And then out of August 21st, the board asked, and specifically John, our Councilman Cahill, asked about what are the next steps? If this is viable and it's something that, you know, looks like it should be, what are the next steps? And that's kind of what this presentation was tonight.
Thanks, Rick.
So the resolution has to do with authorizing the town supervisor to sign an engagement letter with Freed Maxick, which is now with him, for an amount to not exceed $40,000. I do want to have the town board members ask any questions they have, but I do want to, our interaction, and I say our interaction, Paul, Rick, Patty, myself, Patty being the sewer liaison, with Freed Maxick since last Friday when they submitted the 26 pages of whatever, has been trying to drill down on, well, you say that this report is going to be somewhere between 35 and 40,000. Well, why is that? And it does seem like it's a little bit of a time and materials, similar to Campus Construction Management on their things that they do for the town. But those contracts with Campus are over like a year period, so we get the monthly bills and we can look at them and see, you know, are those the hours they put in? And is that the hourly rate of the principal who worked on it versus a more of a secretary who has a lower hourly rate? What Paul and I have to go back and still do, if the board decides to go forward with this, is that, and I think Paul and I are aligned on this, we're not going to get monthly updates from Freed Maxing, whatever, because we want to get it done in 1 month. So by the time we get the bill, and they say, oh yeah, we did all those hours and all that, they say 4 to 6 weeks. Now, I'm a simple guy. If it takes them 4 weeks instead of 6, that probably means they had to spend less hours on it. And if it was a time and materials thing, maybe that adds up to $31,000. I'm talking your language now, aren't I, Kyle? This is very similar to billable hour attorneys. Nothing personal. So Paul and I are going to go back to Freed Maxick with him if the town board approves this tonight and basically say, I don't know, we need a weekly update on this. But I want to lead with honey with them, is that they have made it very clear to us, Paul, that the more we help get them the information and point them in the right directions so they don't have to go do the research on how this contract is. If they got to go do the research, it takes them 4 hours at $500 an hour. If Rick, myself, Paul, whatever, hand them the stuff, that might cut that project down from 4 hours to 2. Does everybody understand that?
Yeah, makes sense.
Because there would be nothing better than to come back here on November 6th, or potentially come back here on October 16th, and say, we got the report. And not only do we have the report that says whether it's viable and eligible, but it looks like the total billing for the report was $28,916. Because we helped. And we also inspected what we expect. So,
That was going to be my question. Is this like a conservative estimate? And it sounds like it's more of a conservative or high-end estimate of the cost.
well, it won't exceed 40,000. They said
Yep.
35 to 40. And as soon as they put a range in a deliverable, what does somebody putting in a proposal a range mean? It means there's latitude there.
Yep.
And as we got into more conversations with them, I think that latitude could go below 35,000. But it's how we manage this with them and Freed Maxick. And that will be potentially daily or twice a week or things of that nature.
She does anticipate quite a few hours, but she did say if the hours came in under, the bill would be less than the 35,000.
Well, that's why there's a not
Keep
to
tabs
exceed
on.
40,000 in this resolution.
It's not to exceed
Correct.
There
40.
we go.
But what's great, I mean, what's great about this project, like you were saying, Rick, is it wasn't a viable option before and it is now. And what's really wild about it is that it's gonna be an opportunity to increase revenue for the town and at the same time lower the overall cost of this project, which is really an incredible thing. And doing the due diligence to spend the money to make sure that that is a viable option is the right thing to do. It's the right thing to explore this, this option very seriously, and we will have a state-of-the-art wastewater treatment plant that will enable growth at the Xerox campus, at Fairlife, and beyond. This is going to be an incredible opportunity for the town of Webster in the long run that can really, Tom, you were talking about this the other night. If we had a vibrant Webster campus and Fairlife, that would be an opportunity to bring overall taxes down.
It's very possible. And, you know, it's funny, I think Patty did a great job back on August 21st. I didn't watch it live. I was not in any 5-hour time difference. I'm not watching it live. But I watched the tape. And if I'm sitting there as a citizen or whatever, what's not intuitive is, so let me get this straight. We invest $9 more million. We spend $9 more million on this project. And we can get $14 million back from the IRS, from the Treasury, to net out at actually we get $5 million off of what we're already spending. And if we do that, we create $750,000 of annual revenue that we don't have. That's not intuitive. That makes the skeptic in me, the accountant in me, say, come on.
Well, and that's why we want to do this.
Right.
Bingo.
Yep.
Because I think
the skeptic in all of us
Sure,
says, "What?
great presentation
That
by
makes no
Wimmer and
sense."
whatever.
Yes.
But you know what? We need to go and get a third party
Yeah,
and
we need to
spend
verify
a,
it.
you know, money to see if is this a pipe dream?
Right.
So anyway,
Let's make an informed decision.
Right.
Is essentially
Yes.
what we discussed at that meeting. And Rick, thank you for bringing this to our attention. I appreciate it. And I understand the fact that we weren't in a position, or the sewage treatment plant was not in the position with Navitas at the time of the initiation of that project. So I appreciate the update.
This is a trust but verify
Correct.
situation,
favorite president.
and that's what we're doing.
That's a Reagan statement, by the way. Ooh, I shouldn't probably say that out loud, should I?
Okay, well, if
okay.
there are no further comments or questions, I would authorize the town supervisor to sign an engagement letter with Fried Maxic PC Witham, not to exceed $40,000. The purpose of the engagement is to evaluate the town's proposed biogas conversion project eligibility for the Advanced Energy Project Credit, Clean Energy Investment Credit, in accordance with U.S. Code Section 48E.
Second.
Councilwoman Cataldi?
Aye.
Councilwoman Wright?
Aye.
Supervisor Flaherty?
Aye.
Councilman Cahill?
Aye.
Councilwoman Nguyen?
For the record, I would vote yes, but this for the study of the project only. I'm not voting for the project itself.
That's not
So
what the-
it just-
that's
yeah,
not what my motion
That's what I'm
was.
saying.
This
I'm
is
doing
for
yes.
a not to exceed
Yeah.
$40,000
Yes. Mm-hmm.
third-party analysis to say whether it's viable.
Yeah, because right now too, I'm kind of, leery about all the grants and credits and everything that with the federal, with the cut and everything, it's pretty scary that we're looking something that we're assuming. And you know how people say about assumption.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
That's why we are
With this
trusting
one-
but verifying with this
Yes.
report.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
this
I wanted
with-
to make
with this,
the
we won't
record clear.
All right. So that is a yes with those comments from Jenny. That, I think, concludes the formal meeting. I am going to make a motion to go into executive session, citing Section 105, Conduct of Executive Sessions, Subchapter 1, F. F is the medical, financial, credit, or employment history of a particular person or corporation or matters leading to appointment, employment, promotion, demotion, discipline, suspension, dismissal, or removal of a particular person or corporation.
Second.
Who are the attendants?
I'm going to invite, obviously, the town board, the town legal, Kyle Taylor, Kelsey Feeney, and Brayton Connard from the town's Human Resources Department, and town engineer Keith Mortimer. That is my motion.
I already seconded it.
Supervisor Flaherty?
Aye?
Councilman Cahill?
Aye.
Councilwoman Cataldi?
Aye.
Councilwoman Nguyen?
Aye.
Councilwoman Wright?
Aye.
Well, that concludes the public aspect